I think that Team USA is going to knock off Scotland. The fat, beer-bellied, soft, fair-skinned sissies from Scotland are going to melt in the Houston night, and America is going to triumph in a dramatic victory.
That's you hurt me the way you speak. That's a racist and hurtful word.
Yes, because that's what we do here. Brought to you by Friends of the British Council. Everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy at the Fantasy Sports Network, Studio 34 in New York City, and we had a huge weekend in rugby this weekend. Steve Lewis and Martin Pengelly. Guys, there was a bit of a rugby match in Houston this weekend.
Yeah, one of the three biggest results ever in American rugby history, with Olympic gold medal and whatever it was, 2024, women winning the World Cup, and now this one in terms of results. And probably the second most important thing after Sevens inclusion in the Olympics. The test of this weekend is how pivotal will it be for American rugby? First win in 94 years over a Tier 1 team. How do we kick on? Where do we go from here? But what a fantastic performance by the Eagles.
Steve, you did say when you were interviewing Sean Davies and Will McGee on the pitch right after the match that you were sorry that it wasn't Wales. You were sorry that it wasn't Ireland. You were sorry that it wasn't England, but you were okay with it.
Why wouldn't it be? My new country beat my old country.
I've got to say, I was particularly okay with it because I'm friends with Steve.
Martin, as you were watching on the telly?
Yes, I did, yeah.
How did it come through on the telly?
Raucous enough, and I wasn't there. And obviously it wasn't as big a crowd as it has been in the past couple of occasions in Houston, but it was a raucous for the game, raucous for the crowd. It was good watching. Yeah,
it was a good time. And the tailgate was great. The lost afternoon luncheon was great. And the match... the headlining match was exceptional.
Yeah, fantastic weekend. I mean, it's now turning, these internationals are turning into weekends, as they are in, say, the Six Nations or other places. You're seeing the same people going, showing up, meeting people they haven't seen in a long time, making new friends, as we managed to do over the weekend. Ancillary events around it. Tailgate was great. Crowd was a little disappointing, to Martin's point. I believe it's around about 12, but it certainly made up for it in terms of enthusiasm and intensity. So, fantastic weekend all around.
Where do you begin analyzing the match? Joe Taufete'e was the man of the match. Spoke to him. Do you and Coach Gold have a secret handshake because you're with the Warriors or something like that? Is there a synergy there going on that we don't know about?
No, it's just when we catch eyes and we see that there's a fire that needs to come out. I think that's the only thing. We don't have a handshake. Maybe we should come up with something. But when he gives me that look, I know it's time to roll.
Well, I got to tell you, Warrior is an appropriate name for you, my friend, and you made every U.S. Eagle fan out there very proud of this nation. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Go Eagles.
Blaine, Scully, emotional win for him. These guys have all put in so much work.
It was a pretty incredible performance from every single man that was out there in the prep we had all this week, and credit to all 27 of the guys who were in camp and the coaching staff and the administration. I mean, I think it was a program effort, and the resilience we demonstrated the last 5 minutes to hold Scotland out for as long as we did and force a tough kick to win the test match.
Difference between this and the Challenge Cup win, Carter?
I'm totally different. I think, I'm more proud of the team. It's not about me and anything I've done. It was a team effort tonight, and 1 through 23 stood up, and that's what you saw.
What was said at halftime?
We just knew we had to get on the right side of the referee. We didn't feel good about our discipline coming in. I think the penalty count was 9-2, and we just needed to stick to what we know, what we can do. And we saw when we did that, we put them under pressure, and that's really what the second half was.
At the end of the match, after he did the post-match interview on field, Scully was just walking by himself, dropped to a knee, head down, a little bit of a moment, and got a big bear hug from Gary Gold, who I'm thinking he's He is gold. He's undefeated.
He is undefeated. I mean, the point I made in my reactive blog for The Guardian, I think bears repeating here, which is that he came in and built on a foundation. You know, the Eagles, he won the ARC undefeated. They were undefeated when they won it the year before under John Mitchell and Marty Veal. The way that Mitchell and Veal left was fairly chaotic, fairly typical of how things go in America, but they did great work. Other people did great work. So Gary Gold should be remembered, have something to build on. He's built on it extremely well so far.
And Blaine Scully, he was the first one to point out that this was a program. He named his fellow teammates, his coaching staff, the administration. He said soup to nuts. And when was the last time we had that in USA Rugby? I mean, we're clearly on, despite everything, we're clearly on a move up forward.
On the field, yeah. And off the field.
But
I think soup to nuts is a bit of a stretch. I mean, they've done well despite some administrative failures and
I'm just talking the rugby.
And budget deficits. Yeah,
just talking the rugby.
On-field stuff's good. Credit needs to go to these players. This wasn't a fluke. It wasn't an interception. It wasn't Scotland playing terribly, somewhat disappointing, but not terribly. The Eagles deserved this win. It was a composed performance. You had fantastic individual performances from Taufete'e and from McGinty in particular. They held their nerve. I mean, there was they won an aerial ping pong battle and scored a try from it. With 10 minutes to go, they were under the gun, 10 meters out from their own line, and they were defensively extremely disciplined. Those were the positives. Those might not have happened before. There was a sort of sense of professionalism. There was a sense of intensity about the performance that bodes really well.
And not lost in all this should be Samu Manoa, because the guy was a monster on the pitch as well. You know, trying to pick a man of the match. And Joe T was the man of the match. But as Sean Davies said in his to you, he said, I think everybody should be the man of the match. But then they were like, okay, Joe T, no argument really there. And then AJ Ginty played an unbelievable match. He could be, but you could name other guys, and everybody stepped up. Nick Cervetta and Cam Dolan raised their games considerably. Am I wrong there?
Oh, you're absolutely right there.
There you go.
I have a skepticism about the whole concept of man of the match. To be honest, I think it focuses too much debate. It's really irrelevant. I mean, it is the team. I mean, you get outstanding individual performances in this game. As you say, you had, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 outstanding individual performances, and the rest of them are extremely strong. It's obviously necessary. It's a thing that happens. Man of the match is awarded, and that's nice. But
sponsors, hello.
Yeah, of course. But I grew up watching Leeds Rugby League at Headingley, and no matter what happened, Ellery Hanley or Gary Schofield was man of the match every week, because the sponsors got to award it, and those are the 2 star players, so they just got it every week, and it
serves you right for watching Rugby League every week.
I played it.
So talking sponsors, I mean, let's move. What's the effect of this match from a commercial point of view and from a game development point of view?
I think you have to be happy if you're the people that put the match on, producers. You have now everybody asking what's next. You had some people there that might not have been familiar with rugby. I had a friend and his 2 sons there, and they were ecstatic.
Well, actually, let's look at this from a Scottish perspective briefly. Okay, so from a performance aspect, very disappointing. Definite tarnish on Tooney's reputation now, picking that team. From an Eagles perspective, it's irrelevant. You can only play who's in front of you. So that was a professional Scottish team in a full test match, and Townsend got what he deserved. He got bitten on the arse. Sure, you can say that.
You can say that.
Got bitten on the arse. But anyway, and then the SRU don't have their troubles off the field. They had Finn Russell's father was let go and won an employment tribunal. So there's a little bit of infighting there. Dodson, who's a very autocratic chief executive, shall we say, is under a little bit of fire. So this wasn't a great weekend for Scotland, and they're going down now to Argentina to take on some pretty wounded Pumas, having lost 2 to Wales. So again, from Scotland, disappointing weekend. Gamble didn't pay off for Townsend. But let's focus and let's credit the Eagles. It's the Eagles' weekend. It was our weekend.
But really, hold on a second. I think in the long run, this benefits Scotland.
Of course it does. They found out some stuff about young players, and again, you lose. No one wants to lose a test match, but it's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world if you lose 4 in a row. Or was it 5 now? I can't remember.
It's 5 now, mate.
It's 5, not 6 now. Is that
it's actually 6 in a row.
It's not England. Yeah.
Again, if you lose 5 in a row, it's a different thing from losing 1 game in that case. And with the selection he made, as Steve said quite rightly, bitten on the arse, but not the end of the world.
Guys, we've got to take a quick commercial break. And before we come back, we have some footage from Houston for you to look at.
What's it like to be the only undefeated CEO in USA Rugby history against a Tier 1 nation?
I've had worse days in my life, Matt. Bring it on.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we are back. And this was a win for everybody. This tie, for instance, Jesse Lopez in the 70s. I met him once. He gave me the tie right off of him. You know, and it's for all these people out there. Jack Clark, I spoke to him on the pitch afterwards.
No, it was a great night for American rugby, wasn't it? You know, I mean, what a historic victory for us. It's our first scalp against a major rugby playing nation, and what a fantastic effort on this team and their coaching staff. Really, really pleased for them and all of us.
The Cal footprint all over the field, but also these guys, Tom Billups, all these folks out there. You know, Dan Lyle's on the field, Tony Riddell's on the field, Dave Hodges, all these guys and people that have toiled all these years. This win was also for them. And I thought it was great in that respect. But the other thing is the booing and the jeering of the Scottish when they're kicking. What did you guys make of that?
I'd rather it didn't happen, but I'm not as bothered about that kind of thing as some people are. I think a raucous home crowd is a good thing, and a raucous American crowd is something that most other rugby players will never have experienced.
Stephen?
I concur. With Martin, I think, there are grounds in the world where it doesn't happen. There tends to be more respect in Northern Hemisphere rugby. At the end of the day, this is now, that was an emotional occasion. That was a big kick, and there was a lot of people in that stadium willing it not to go through. So you can't look to that as an excuse for a professional kicker missing a kick. So it's like Seattle. If that becomes part of the identity, so be it.
Well, the thing is now you can forget Americans being quiet if there's a big kick on the line after that miss.
I can remember you look back 5 years nearly to when the Eagles pushed the Maori in Chester. I was going to say Philadelphia, but I've been there now. I know it's Chester. It's different.
Chester's a place.
It's a different place, yeah. The crowd then booed, cheered, and chanted USA, USA through the haka. And if
they didn't boo during the haka. They just chanted USA, USA, USA.
Jeered and cheered. Jeered and cheered. As far as I remember. If they didn't boo, I take it back.
I think this is semantics.
They basically made a big noise, big pro-USA noise by, therefore, implication, anti-Maori noise through the haka, and it was spectacular, and I think it was taken as an American thing.
It was organic.
Yeah, if you did normally in other parts of the world, if you're seen to have disrespected the haka, then bad stuff happens. It didn't there because it's a Philly thing, it's an American thing. I think it's marvelous.
Yeah, I actually asked coach and captain in the press conference about that after the match, and they were both, "Hey man, we're doing a warrior cry on your turf, and all you did was chant your nation. You chanted your nation's name back at us. I mean, they were fine with it.
Yeah, which is good for them, and means I'm fine with that kind of American crowd involvement. Is just a good thing.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, you want to talk about the loss? You want to talk about getting smoked? You want to talk about how your nation is all in black and mourning, and you're walking around with your head down?
Not me.
I gotta say, he didn't respond to some pretty determined social media baiting from me in the hours after that. There was an unlizard-like silence there.
He's been above the fray, and you could tell. For you, literally, it was a win-win in a way, right? I mean, either team wins.
Yeah, I said already, my new country beat my old country. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you want to bait me, my relationships are obviously with the current Eagles squad and Eagles coaches. So that's your personal relationships, and those are the people I'm happy for. If Scotland won, Scotland won.
Contraire, my friend, because you were saluted in the lost afternoon luncheon by none other than Gavin Hastings, and his son was the number 10. So he's like he's a double agent when it comes to rugby. Chameleon, you call it a chameleon, I call it a double agent, maybe a spy of sorts.
That wasn't actually what Gavin referred to me as, though.
We did talk about those collars getting bigger each week.
Exactly, the collars are hiding him.
All right, this is a hard one to let go of, this match. I just don't want to. I don't want to end the.
What's next? What's next? Where are they going?
They're going to Nova Scotia. Where else would you go after that win?
What team's going to pick? Is he going to stick with the tried and tested combination, or are they going to pull a Scotland and look past Canada and play some younger boys?
No way.
I was him. I would not do that. I would try to hammer home what just happened and
couldn't agree more.
And hammer the Canadians.
Prediction on Canada.
Difficult without knowing the selections, but you'd like to think now the US are 15, 20, 25 points superior, whatever they put on the field.
Yeah, you would think that. I think that's changed even in my time. Yeah. My time in my second country, that's changed in the prediction. You expect them to put Canada away now.
Right here, USA 45, Canada 17. And which of these three people did pick the United States to beat Scotland in this very studio last week?
The blind squirrel.
The American.
50 monkeys in a room with a typewriter and Shakespeare. That's what that was.
Or the guy that was right and is leading us in our picks all year long anyway. On that note, on our 52nd anniversary, 5th week.
Second anniversary.
We've been doing this for 52 years. I had a full head of hair when we started. Anyway, it's a good week. And thank you guys again. 52 weeks. Thanks to everybody downstairs, Fantasy Sports Network studio, everybody that's called in. You guys are great, and we plan on bringing you another 52 weeks of stellar rugby reporting on Rugby Wrap-Up. Thanks, everybody.